Our next speakers are from the Speak Trauma Foundation. Sandy Ramzey is a self-identified third culture kid. She aspires to create and spread knowledge and inspire. Sandy is most passionate about women's rights and the concept of identity and homeland. She is currently a student of advertising at the American University of Sharjah, as well as the PR and research coordinator of Speak Trauma Foundation. And we also have Zena Afra, a 22-year-old still searching for identity. She aims to help others with her fullest abilities. Her life motto is Dum Spiro Spero, which is Latin for when I breathe, I hope. She is currently a student of public relations at the American University of Sharjah, as well as the director of visual and audio storytelling at Speak Trauma. Yeah, Zena and Sandy, you have the floor.
Hello, my friend, long time no see.
She is a morning person.
She definitely is not.
She always picks up my calls.
Her phone is always off. I contemplate our friendship.
Because I make you take the stairs?
Yeah, but you can make it up to me if you let me touch your hair.
I hate it when people touch my hair.
But in all seriousness,
I'm Sandy.
I'm Zena.
My parents are Egyptian. Really, really Egyptian.
My dad is Palestinian and my mom is Filipino,
but we're neither. What does that mean?
What is identity?
Do I belong to the place my parents are from?
Can I have more than one identity?
What is my identity?
Before my search of identity, I met the founder of Speak Trauma, Susan Smith. She made me question what my identity was and where I feel like I belonged. She questioned what home was. So when I started meeting new people, I realized they'd ask me really weird questions, like who you are, where are you from, what is your nationality? And I thought it was weird, like why would they say something like that? Why is my nationality a topic of conversation? So when I used to take cabs a lot, most of our journey was where I'm from, where the cab driver would guess where I'm from. And even when I'm about to pay in the cashier, they'd seriously pop up the question, where are you from, madame? I'm like taken back by it, like, okay. And I used to be such an accommodating person. I would always answer the way people wanted me to answer. So if an Arab asked me where I was from, I'd tell them I'm Palestinian. And when an Asian asked me where I was from, I'd tell them I'm a Filipino. Oh, yes. The Speak Trauma Foundation started with the idea of how trauma destroys lives and wanted to do something about it. So we live in a culture where if we say something or we want to say something, we can get judged on it easily, especially if it's mental issues or simply if we're just feeling emotional. So one of the things Speak Trauma does is that we set up open mic nights with the help of American University of Sharjah, and we give people the opportunity to speak up and say what they want and to feel like they are part of something, they're part of a community that will not judge them whatsoever.
I was very interested in the work Speak Trauma was doing. I questioned my identity at a very young age and finally settled for what I call the definite unknown. I call that a third culture kid, a TCK. Author of Third Culture Kids Growing Up Among Worlds, David Pollock, explains that a third culture kid is a person who has spent a significant part of his or her developmental years outside their parent culture. In addition, he says that TCKs build relationships with many cultures while not having full ownership of any. A cultural hybridity, if you will. This hybridity makes it difficult for some to assimilate in their host countries and may create an inner conflict. This may feel like a hindrance, but we believe that this broadens your horizons and creates opportunities and experiences otherwise unavailable to you. As for your identity, there is no rule set in stone that you have to be from one place or many places. Consider how globalization has played a role in shaping your identity. If you choose to identify with one place, Do you think that you are completely and wholly from that one place? If you're having trouble answering that question, just consider the clothes that you're wearing or the language that you think in and the languages that you speak more dominantly. A quote I personally sought comfort in the possibility of not knowing, goes like this. My mother told me I have a chameleon soul, no fixed personality, just an inner indecisiveness that was as wide and as wavering as the ocean. For us and many people like us, a path is set for us by our families and communities. But we're like mismatched puzzle pieces, one of the same but different.
So there are times where I felt I was more Arab, and there were times where I felt I was more Filipino. And one thing that my environment did was they tried to force me to be loyal to either one of them. And there was only one time where I felt that I didn't, not one time. Well, there are times where I felt like I didn't have to choose, which were like Christmas, birthdays, and so forth. As long as it was with my immediate family, that's where I felt like I had no pressure to choose. Now that I'm older, I tell people that when I tell them that I'm Palestinian Filipino, and they ask me like, okay, so Arab or Filipino? I'm like, I am both. This is my identity. This is who I am. This is what makes me, me. And of course, that's one interesting part about identity. It makes you curious, makes you want to explore, gives you a new perspective in life, and so forth. And of course, being from two cultures, there are days where I don't feel like I belong to either one of them, that I'm an outcast from both my cultures. Another thing as well is that when I say I am half Filipino, people tend to stigmatize my Filipino side. Yes, I know, they perceive Filipinos as housemaids, nannies, and so forth. A lot of Filipinos that I know of, and some people in my family, are very well educated, and they prosper. There are just some that couldn't find a job in their field, and they had to do something else. We all need to work. And it is mentally exhausting when you're from two cultures. So if we're having a conversation and you ask me where I'm from, I always take a mental step back and always be like, I am half Palestinian, I'm half Filipino, but I was born in Abu Dhabi, but I grew most of my life in Fujairah. I don't really know much about my Palestinian side because my dad rarely talked about it. I've only been to Philippines about 3 times, and I never really liked it as a young teen. And now thinking about it, I'm like, I don't really miss it. So yeah, like that's what goes through my head all the time. I don't know what to say. But now I'm just like, yep, I am Palestinian Filipino, period. And I learned to control my thoughts. I try not to think about it. I not try to think about, which culture, what do I feel like I should respond to? And, oh dear, what? Okay, sorry, yeah. Well, for when it comes to identity, there isn't really a solution. But is there really a solution? We can never fully accept who we are. We are constantly changing. So is our identity. It constantly changes. I am not who I was 5 years ago. I'm someone completely different.
Right, so it's important to acknowledge that your identity is not set for you. It's not necessarily where you're from either. It can be if you wanted to, but it doesn't directly apply to everyone else. That being said, it doesn't apply to everyone else like a formula would, because otherwise it would make my job a lot easier. We struggle with our identity and the concept of home because we feel like home is beyond what we can understand it to be. Here's some food for thought. Have you ever thought to yourself why a certain place is considered home to you? Is it because it evokes feelings of happiness, comfort, and love? A place can evoke those feelings based on your memories or your perceptions of that place. or even the safe space you attribute to others' memories and perceptions of a certain place. So, what do you consider to be home and why? One of our blog posts, our first one actually, in one of our blog posts, I reflected upon my own experience in coming to terms with my understanding of home. I wrote, "I am a hybridized individual, resulting from the marriage of globalization and the rise of the digital age. Beyond the complexity of our own understanding of home as a construct or as a place, your identity is shaped also by your aspirations and desires. Aspirations, goals, and desires which rest between and beyond the walls of classrooms." Following this, we can now talk about the positive attributes of being a third culture kid. So you learn several languages, whether it be at a native proficiency or you learn a few words here and there like habibi or
Namaste.
You meet lots of new people as well from various cultures. You become immersed in their cultures in a way that you become informed and form an informed point of view. And also this creates an appreciation. This holistic worldview creates an urge to know more, to see more. This is where travel comes into play. A lot of third culture kids have this heightened sense of adventure and want to explore beyond the confines of their comfort zones. Another way to jet set across the world without having to commit to travel plans amongst your busy schedule is through the internet. All right, so with a show of hands, how many of you follow travel blogs on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all these various social media platforms? And now also, can you think of 2 places off the top of your head that you would like to travel to, just instantly?
Canary Islands and Bali.
All right. The internet helps us dive into our imagination and creates a thirst for the adventure the world has to offer. Peru, Greece, Tanzania are all at our fingertips until we can physically board a plane and make those dreams a reality.
Not only in this holistic worldview is beneficial on a personal and social level, it's extremely helpful in academia and thereafter. Author Robin Pascal, in her book titled Raising Global Nomads, explained that these kinds of people develop a good understanding of the functioning world, especially in regards to economics, politics, technology, the environment, culture, and general societal issues. In your academic career, you will find that it will broaden your scope of knowledge. You will be able to intellectually understand and build upon pre-existing ideas. But just a heads up though, everything is interrelated. Afterwards, many people progress into the workforce with drive and motivation. You can integrate smoothly and interact with all kinds of people who you will encounter throughout your journey. So we shouldn't force ourselves to look for our identity. Do things you enjoy. Go out, explore, or even just explore with Google. And you learn. That is how you mold your current identity and your future identity. We can't wait to see what you have to offer the world.
Thank you.